I'm just going to start. We're trying to get a slick intro in, but we can't because of the laughter. So I'm Jim Dolan from Pride of Irons. We're back with another rival views this week. We've got a rival fan, Joe, with us. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
Liverpool supporter Joe. And we've got Rob back again. He's back. Just a bit of housekeeping before we start. I know if you're watching this on YouTube, these videos can be quite long. So if you look down there, there'll be a link to not down there, Rob. There will be a link to the podcast version of this. So if you just want to listen to it when you're on the go, it'll be available to listen back. Otherwise, look at these beautiful faces. Why would you not want to watch these? Welcome, Joe. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Just working from home, socially distancing. Kind of like getting through that slog.
Living that familiar
that work from home
life.
Living the pandemic dream.
And I'm going to jump straight into the first question because, ask how you doing. How you doing football wise? So last season, last season you guys obviously it was the dream season, right? And
Mm-hmm.
From someone of your age as well, this is the first time I guess you get to celebrate that Liverpool success as an adult, apart from obviously Champions League, but from Premier League perspective. How's the start to the season panning out for you?
So the end of last season, obviously with everything going on, was really weird, and it just felt odd celebrating it. It was very stop and start, and then we didn't play so well towards the end of last season. So it was quite interesting seeing how we'd get going, because we had a bit of a break when other like Man United and those sorts of teams had to play a bit more before the start of the season. But yeah, I was actually back home up north for the Leeds game and watched that live, and it was it was a bit manic. It was end-to-end stuff. I think that's always when a team comes up from the Championship and they're quite an attacking team, they kind of really want to go for it, sort of thing. But as we've seen with Liverpool over the years, if you attack them, it just leaves them more gaps for them to score more goals than you, really. But it was a bit of a hectic game. And then I was quite worried with the fixture list as well, because we had Arsenal and Chelsea straight away as well. So it's like this is going to be the acid test. This is going to show whether we can do the same again this year. And both games were pretty decent. Solid performance, looking good. Not too much of an issue. Then the Everton game happened, and they've been playing well. They've brought a whole new midfield. Calvert-Lewin is loving the supply he's getting from that midfield now. He's looking like a completely different player. So I was worried we were going to struggle in that game. And, it was a pretty fair game in the end. A lot of Liverpool fans have a lot to say about VAR. But, I think it's like with any refereeing decision, you win some, you lose some. It's no point, sort of moaning about it too much. But injury problems really at Liverpool, especially in defence. We let Lovren go in the close season because he didn't really play last season. I think he played about 10 games, not even that. But now it's looking like we could have done with that fourth centre-back, because Matip is inconsistent with his fitness. So you're never sure when he's going to play. And Joe Gomez has had his injury problems as well. And now, after the Champions League game, Fabinho's injured as well. So
we saw that, and we were talking about it on our chat. And it's the typical West Ham gallows humour type thing. But I was like, see, Liverpool have got a few injuries there. Not that it makes a difference for when we play them. And I think you probably feel the same, right, Rob? I don't think Liverpool become any less of a worry just because they've got a few players out.
No, definitely not. I think with Liverpool you'll think, oh, good, look, they've got a couple of players out, especially defensively. Let's go attack them more. And obviously, like Joe said, that means they'll just go for it and they'll pick them passes. That's the problem with Liverpool. They've got such good attacking lineup that do they need a defence? They score more goals than you. We score 5, they score 6. But I think
it's a crazy season like that, though, isn't it, Rob? Because like you say, we score 5, they score 6. I mean, that'd be an off the cuff remark in a normal season. That'd be like a sort of joke remark. But this season, who knows?
Liverpool got absolutely burned by in the Villa game. It was pretty horrific. I listened to the radio commentary for that, and I was just like, "What am I listening to?" It was quite worrying, really. Especially, it just seemed like they just couldn't stop. They were just rampant,
Villa
basically.
look good though, don't they? They've got a nice
yeah,
balance in it this year.
Yeah.
They got Grealish, they got Mings in defence. They've brought in Barkley. They've got a nice balance to them.
Well, they had no focal point last season. Like they were trying to play Grealish as their main outlet, and that's not his style. Whenever he's been good in games, it's when he can play deeper. There's no point in having him as your false nine at the front and trying to make something happen, sort of thing. But they're a much different team now this year.
Well, I was saying this to Luke in the last recording that on the last game of the season, if we'd won, Villa would have gone down, right? And I was saying at the time, no offence to Villa fans, but I wanted us to relegate them because I knew that they'd invested really well. Or they hadn't, obviously they were fighting relegation at the end, but they'd actually invested quite well. I knew that they were going to invest further. I knew they were going to push on. And it's kind of, not that, I'm the oracle here, but it's come to pass that they actually look like a good outfit this season. But still, to knock that many past you guys, I think the neutral is shell-shocked. How did it feel from your perspective?
Well, it just felt like a joke. Like, it just felt like a friendly game. People talked because of the way the stadiums are now with no fans. Sometimes it can feel like a friendly. So sometimes, I guess, games just run away from you sometimes. When a couple start going in, it's a bit like down tools a little bit. Some people try to blame Adrian. I really don't think. I haven't watched the goal since.
You leave Adrian alone.
Yeah. He's great. I love him. But I really don't think. I think it was a combination of a few things. I think a couple of players made a couple of mistakes, and then that just went up. Like Van Dijk made a couple of mistakes, Gomez made a couple of mistakes, Trent made a couple of mistakes, and that just snowballed. Basically, it can just make one small error can end up in a goal sometimes, especially with the quality of the Premier League. I do think sort of the mid-range teams can do you if you're not on form. Like, that's how good the league is now. And I think sometimes people kind of forget that perspective, because Liverpool were in that sort of mire for years when you kind of like outside the main top four, you're kind of a bit below that, but the quality is still kind of there, sort of thing. So yeah, so it was a difficult one to listen to.
well, so not the start of the season you would have wanted, I guess, after the way you finished.
It's been a bit mixed. Like we're still at the top. We've still been playing well. It's just the odd kind of blip you have here and there. And I think this is going to be indicative for the rest of the season for everyone. I don't think anyone's going to run away with the title this year. I do think we're going to see bigger scoring games, which is kind of more exciting for the neutral. But it's I think it's going to be a very unusual season, especially when some of the bigger teams have really invested, because the gap between City, Liverpool and the rest was a bit too much for the other teams to kind of handle. So you saw, like, obviously Chelsea have pretty much got a whole new team this year.
Chelsea have spent like 250 million or something, like just a crazy amount.
I think they've got too many players that all play in the same position now.
They don't look at nothing special to me. They've literally, I think they played better with their youth players last year, from what I'm seeing, and they've seemed to have replaced them. And there's a few of their youth players who probably will let go soon. It's a shame, really. The weird thing,
I guess, is that they've spent all that money, and like you say, Rob, they don't really look that much better. We've actually sold loads of players, not really brought many in, and somehow we're looking way, way better.
It's bizarre. I don't know what's going on there. I think it's some kind of magical spell Moyes has put on the team. But I think maybe it's just because the style of player we brought in, like Souček and what's that right back's name we've got now, Jim?
Soufal,
that's it, yeah. They're just hard working. They're just team players. I think we've got a load of team players now, and that's why we're doing a bit better.
So I made a note about your right back saying if he has he needs to have a good game against us, because like he just looks like such an outlet from the plays that I've seen. I was like, wow, this guy can play. And I think if he has a good game, that's going to, kind of stop Andy, really. Because if he's attacking, Andy's got to stay back, and vice versa. If Andy's going forward and he stops him, then that's most of Liverpool's game.
He's really good at positioning, isn't he, Jim? He can see. He's cleared the ball a few times and got a few really, really clever tackles in. You can tell he's got that kind of experience, and he kind of knows where to be.
Positionally, exactly. Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he knows where he needs to be. He gets up the top when he needs to as well. Putting in crosses, attacking.
He can do a really good cross as well.
Just all round, I can't believe we've managed to get this guy. Just seemingly out of nowhere. It's like Souček's like, I've got a mate who's quite good at right back, and we've just gone and signed him. It's amazing.
Yeah, they got him from the same team, or like did both from Czech
Yeah, both
Republic.
from the same team. Yeah.
Yeah, used to play together in the same team, and yeah, obviously together internationally. So, next question I've got for you, and Rob, feel free to chip in with your thoughts as an outsider. But I always ask thoughts of your current manager. Now, I think from an outside perspective, Klopp is just one of those guys who's generally very, very likable. And I think before he even kind of trained with you guys for the first time, everyone was talking about him coming into the league. And Rob, I seem to remember you were quite excited about Klopp coming to the UK, right? Because there was some talk a while ago about him coming to us.
Yeah, we
Ridiculous
tried to
talk.
get him.
Yeah.
He turned us straight down.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
But from an impartial, let's say impartial, but from like an opposition point of view, that better for having Klopp in the league?
Hands down.
Hands down or pants down?
Hands down, pants down as well. He's fantastic. He's made the league so much better. He's very, he's changed the way a lot of teams play. I don't think if it wasn't for him, half the teams play counter attacking nowadays because of him. They're all trying to, do the same model as him. And if you go look back in Germany, there's still loads of teams copying exactly the same thing that he started. And so he's actually changed football quite a lot. And it helps that he's come to Liverpool and he's taken on the Scouse culture as well. He goes to all the pubs.
I think that's the thing I notice is that he, regardless of what anyone might think of Liverpool, I think he's gone in and gone, right, that's their culture, that is their identity, and I'm just gonna roll around in it and just like absorb it. I mean, how's it for you, Joe? Because I think I think there's been a bit of managerial merry-go-round, I guess, for a little while. But Klopp seems to be the one, right? Obviously, he's just won the league. But aside from that, again, fitting the identity of the club, relating to the fans. How is that for you?
Yeah, it was, especially after Rafa Benitez going, it was very much like, who's going to be the next, what's the next project going to be? Who's going to be the next person to take us to that level? Brendan nearly did it, and Brendan did get the time to do it, and you can see what he's done since he's left Liverpool as well. Like, it wasn't sort of a fluke what he did at Liverpool.
But he didn't have the personality and stuff, did he?
No, it was always a bit cold with the fans, with Brendan, really. I think he knew we didn't really connect with him, and he knew that, and there was always a bit of a distance there, I think, really. And it's a shame, really, because he's got his methods, and I feel a bit sorry from Brendan because I think he got a bit short shrift, really, at Liverpool. But but that's the thing, you contrast that with Klopp, and it's completely different. Klopp's just not about the club, it's about the city as well, and I think that's what's really made the difference with Klopp, because all the fans think the world of him, sort of thing. It's kind of like, when he came in, the results still weren't good because he was still instilling his tactics. He didn't maybe have all the players that he wanted and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a bit like, it did take a while, but what really got the fans through, it was that game where he was like really passionate. Like, we drew and it was like 2-2. And he was having to go at the fans, being like, people are going early. Why are you going early? Like, this was a really good result. We drew 2-2 in this sort of thing. And like a lot of Liverpool fans, kind of, it was a bit of a wake-up call. Then it was a bit kind of like, yeah, we aren't giving 100% to the team, sort of thing. And I think that was like,
and that could go either way, couldn't it? Talking to fans like that could easily go either way. So he's clearly got the charm and he set the message in the way. And again, I think that's part of how it's clear that he understands the club and the culture and the fans, is that he can say that at a time where you are struggling and it be taken in the right way. I find you guys really interesting, actually, in terms of like supporting your managers, because I think most football clubs don't have the best relationships with their managers. But I remember the FA Cup final in 2006 and like being in the middle of like the Liverpool part of town where everyone was partying, because we didn't give a shit, so we just went into a bar full of Liverpool fans. And coming down the road, there was just like this huge parade of Liverpool fans holding this massive portrait of Rafa Benitez in this really ornate gold frame, just like carrying him through the streets. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? It's amazing.
Did you thought he died?
It's like Live and Let Die. He came out of a coffin.
It's been like that since the 70s as well. It's kind of like you get these like iconic managers, and then like City just like really gets behind them really, and it's I think it's really good to see, and that's why I think it was a bit sad for Liverpool fans to kind of like when we went through the phase in sort of the 90s and early 2000s, it was kind of like I think there was a lot of appointments that didn't really make sense or didn't really show any ambition. Like when Gerard Houllier was in after Ray Evans, I think it took a while for Liverpool fans to warm up. But the thing is, if you've got a manager of quality and he wins things, you've got to back him, sort of thing, and he did. So
he did something the other day. I can't remember what it was, and some players were celebrating. Was it someone getting sent off or something? He turned around and he absolutely blitzed them. He was like, "Don't you celebrate that?" And so like, I'd love that. I did. I'd really love that. I thought that's a great manager. Who's actually the players respect him. They just went dead silent. They went,
Have you seen the Have you seen the spitting image, Jurgen Klopp?
No, I only saw the West Ham thing. I haven't seen anything else.
I mean, check it out. It's a very good caricature, and I think a lot of them where they're a little bit nasty. What they've done with him is they've actually just focused on his positivity, and it's just really funny. And there's like someone sent like some Everton fans have sent a dog shit in the post, like, "Oh my god, this dog, this shit is amazing. I'm getting all these shits." But not in that accent. But he's like, he's like super like animated and smiling, and his wife's like, "They've just sent you shit," and he's like, "Yes, but it's very courteous of them." Check that out. Anyway, sorry, completely the wrong subject there. But so I think we've got a good sense of what Liverpool fans are like. I think at the FA Cup final, we had a chance to, obviously it's a long time ago now, but we had a chance to chat with a lot of Liverpool fans, and it felt like there was a lot of mutual respect there. I remember one guy saying, I think we're very similar, although the clubs are
working class,
very far
working
apart.
Class
exactly. Though he said, working on, good, honest, working class fans, working class club, the same kind of values. Although you could probably take the ownership out of it, and the same kind of values. So, on that note, what do you see from the other side as a Liverpool fan generally when you play West Ham? What's the tone of feeling towards the opposition?
Well, it's kind of been a bit. I remember the iconic West Ham sides from the 90s kind of thing, and it's kind of a bit like it's just been difficult, especially since obviously the relegation happened and blah 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 sort of thing. I think it's been difficult to kind of like have an iconic team like that again, and that's what I kind of like feel when I see West Ham now. It's kind of like almost getting back to that sort of level now. And you've mentioned the ownership as well, like it kind of reminds me when we had the Hicks and Gillette ownership sort of thing. So kind of like I know what it feels like to kind of go through that. Okay, this is the position we're in. Can't do anything about it. Just gotta like live through it, sort of thing. And like I went through a phase of thinking, maybe West Ham fans are kind of over exaggerating how bad the ownership is. I don't know, like
that's a whole different conversation.
That is a 17-hour split podcast we could go on.
It is, yeah.
But for me, I think West Ham are like at the moment. I think in recent times, like over the past sort of decade or so, you've really struggled to have like a reliable sort of forward. And I know you've had Arnautovic. I know you've had Arnautovic, but I just don't think he really hit those heights enough for you guys. And I kind of think back to like Dean Ashton and then everything that happened with him, and it's kind of a bit like feel like since then you've still you need to have a talismanic striker, and I just think you've never really had that because obviously Andy Carroll. We all know about Andy Carroll, and
thank you for that.
How much did you pay for him?
It could have been great.
What did you spend on him again?
Oh, like was it 50 or something?
So you spent 50 on him, then we gave you 20 of that back.
Yeah.
And now Newcastle got the change.
I just think he was just always very unlucky with his injuries. Like he could have been, fantastic. Yeah, he could have been.
Do you remember though, like 18-year-old Andy Carroll hitting the scene? I remember the first goal of his I saw was like a bullet header, and you're like, "Fuck!"
Yeah, Kane rolls in there. Kane rolls. I remember him Kane rolls, and I was thinking, "Who's this?"
like he's been on holiday with his parents to Ibiza. And I think he was unlucky with injuries, but then how much of his own luck did he make with his?
Well, there's rumours went there as well.
Did he look after himself enough? I guess one day he may reveal that. But yeah, I mean, I think we were both stung with that one.
But as well, the new guy you've bought, Ben Rama.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to see what he does, and I'm expecting him to play at the weekend because we've kind of got done over by an informed striker from the Championship already this season in Ollie Watkins.
He was
So
his teammate as well.
yeah, so I'm interested to see what he's gonna be like. So I don't think Haller's kind of worked out for you guys, but I also kind of feel like he hasn't been given much of a chance.
That's kind of
Do you
right.
agree?
I think he hasn't been given the service. With Haller, I think it's really hard to tell if he's a big good player, if I'm honest, because he kind of seems lazy and lackadaisical for me. And it
Doesn't
really
run enough.
Doesn't run enough, and he doesn't make with like Bowen and Antonio. They're always waiting on the back line and they're waiting for that run. And obviously, Antonio's out this weekend, isn't he? By the sounds of things.
I hope so. There's no point risking him against Liverpool.
No, yeah, if he gets injured again. So if they don't play Haller now, then he never will start.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he has to start this weekend.
Where is Antonio's best position? Because I've seen him play everywhere.
I think he's found it. I think he's found it now.
He's found it, yeah. He's just become a complete striker. He's actually gotten better, and he's actually better at finishing now. How many goals has he got, Jim, in the last 20 games?
I don't know, but like he scored more after Project Restart than he had in the whole of the season to that point. Yeah, and then like not to leave out as well, you know, Bowen with his assists and you know he's scored a couple. We've got Cresswell now. Yeah, just he's like most assists from a defender this season.
And I put him in my fantasy team today.
I really like Cresswell. For years when Liverpool had a bit of an issue at left back, I would have had him at Liverpool, sort of thing. I think he's great.
He's a massive Liverpool fan, isn't he?
Yeah. So next question, before we get on to the actual match, where do you expect both teams to finish this season? So I'm going to start with Rob. Where do you see Liverpool? We already know what you think of West Ham, but where do you see Liverpool finishing the season?
I think they're winning the league. I think what'll happen. I think they'll get to the transfer window. I think they'll get a loanee in for defence. There's a few big players who are not playing at the moment. I think they'll grab one of them to cover to when Van Dijk comes back, and then I think they'll just win the league because I just think they've got too much. And I think if they had a out really quality striker as well, I think they'd become playable as well. But that's the only thing I think that kind of lets them down. Sometimes they haven't got a Harry Kane sometimes, and I think if you had a Harry Kane, well, you know, I think the rest would be history.
That's a bold prediction, outright saying they're going to win.
Well, I put that in my bet to win. So I've been thinking it since the start of the season.
No, but I mean, given how crazy things have been, I struggle to call a top four, let alone a winner at this point.
I think other teams would drop off as the games go on, but I think Liverpool will pick up momentum. I
guess, yeah, that's the thing with the bigger teams is they've got the pedigree and the players have got the mentality to see things through. But then I suppose Leicester proved to us before that you don't always, things don't always go that way.
But also, Liverpool have got fantastic youth systems. So, like, even when they've got like Jones coming through, and you bring someone like Jones, who pretty much can get into any other team and probably start, and you know they've got someone like that who can bring in. Well, you know, you got quite good backup. And the three young boys they've got that could be playing in the weekend in central defence, especially the Dutch lad, they actually are quite good bloody players as well, which probably could get in other teams as well.
I think people are sleeping on Nat Phillips as well, Nathaniel Phillips. Like he played half a season at Stuttgart last year. Yeah. And we actually brought him back from that loan early when we were having a few injury problems last season, just in case. So I think Klopp rates him, and I think either Reece Williams or Nat Phillips will start.
I think he does quite good. He's quite a big lad as well for his age. So
mobile as well. So I was nervous when he came on in the Champions League game, but you know, I think Klopp wouldn't have him on the bench. Klopp wouldn't play him if he didn't think he could do it. So
you got to get your feet in somehow sometimes, and sometimes in like learning by the trial of fire is the best way to learn, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, and look, some players absolutely thrive. Remember last season, unfortunately decided to leave us, but Ngakia got thrown in at right back, and just I can't believe we let him go. Like amazing feat.
Watford.
Really?
Yeah. But he's been on the bench last two games. He's form's declined a bit. But do you remember
He's been on the
when we
bench
bought Rice for and he played really well? Then he had that period of pardon. What do you?
You say he's been on the bench the last couple of games?
Yeah, yeah. And do you remember when Rice had that kind of period when he kind of just, he done a few mistakes and he got benched?
Yeah, but I
for a
think
while?
he made one mistake, didn't he? And then he immediately got benched by Bilic, and I think that knocks his confidence for a bit.
He bounced back though, and that's what a good player does.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And that's good. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if this young chap comes in with Liverpool, and he does a mistake, stick with him. He learns from the mistake. He becomes a good player. He's got fantastic players around him to learn from. Probably one of the best central defenders in the whole world right now, as well. Who I've always wanted West Ham to sign, even when he was at Celtic.
So Joe, same question to you then. Where do you see Liverpool finishing, and where do you see West Ham finishing this season?
I definitely think Liverpool will be 1 or 2, first or second. I just don't see us dropping off that badly. I think we're still kind of in the same sort of vein of form, and I think if one of the front players has a dip, we've got Jota now, who's looking really good. Like, Klopp just wants to get him on the pitch, so he's playing him in midfield now. So because he's really in form at the moment. I kind of expect Jota to start as well against West Ham at the weekend. But first or second, and I think Chelsea's team on paper looks like they've got a lot of goals in them, so I'm kind of expecting them to be top 3, and obviously City as well. I think Everton will drop off. They always do.
And little old West Ham.
West Ham, where I think they're going to finish.
You can be honest.
It's easy to say. It's easy to say mid-table, but I just think that 15 to 5 is just going to be so tight and a complete mess this year. So you could finish a couple of places above the relegation zone, but there could be like a huge gap in points. So I don't know. Like it's difficult, but around 8th, I'm going to say around there.
Oh, dizzy heights of 8th.
8 to 12. 8 to 12.
I've got a nosebleed.
Yeah, blimey. That's a very kind prediction. But I suppose the way things are going, it's just so hard to know what's going to happen. Who would have foreseen so many teams that are often in the mix in the middle, or towards the bottom, just up their game the way that they have. It's been great to watch. There's been some great moments.
It's been a good season so far, I think.
I think so, yeah. And as annoying as it was, and as stressful as it was going down by 3 to Spurs, that comeback made it all worth it, because and not just from the perspective that it's Spurs, because I know they love to think that it's all about them, but it's just any team coming back from 3 goals down at that point,
especially only 9 minutes to go as well, when you score 3 goals and the last one's a 30-yarder, hits the crossbar and goes in. Anyone's going to go ballistic. I kicked my plant pot, screamed so loud, the filter started crying. I didn't know what to do in it. I was possessed. I just flew up into the air.
So let's move on to this weekend's match then. I say this weekend. What day are we actually playing? I don't even know.
We're playing Saturday at 5:30.
Yeah, Saturday. Right. This is the great thing as well at the moment, I think, because the scheduling is all over the place to accommodate everyone being on TV. It's crazy, and I love it.
It's on Sky, isn't it, as well? So you have to pay for it. It's main event.
Oh, cool. But I like the fact that one weekend you're watching it at 12 o'clock or 12:30 on a Saturday, and then you're watching it like 8:30 at night on a Sunday or whatever. I really like it.
I fell asleep at the last Sunday game because I was like Sunday afternoon. I was like, because it's so late.
There wasn't a lot to get excited about in the last game. But going on to this Saturday's game then. Joe, like you talked about who you expect to start up front and whatnot. How would you expect to set up against West Ham?
Well, Klopp has this thing where if someone's injured, he never really says how long they're going to be out for. Like, we all thought Alisson was going to be out for ages, and then, oh, hey, he's on the team sheet this week. So it's kind of a bit like you're never really quite sure. So maybe Fabinho will start on Saturday. I don't think he will. But obviously the front 3 are going to be the front 3. Jota's in form at the moment. So I think he's going to try and wedge him into midfield somehow. And then because of that, I think he's going to go a bit defensive with the midfielders. Keita's still out with the Rona. I think he's got a few more days to isolate for. And then Thiago, he's not really said when Thiago's going to be ready, but I don't think that's this weekend. So I think it'll be Milner and Henderson in midfield. and then usual back four, but centre back will be Gomez and one of the younger players, and I think he'll go for Nathaniel Phillips, to be honest, just because he's a bit older and got a bit more experienced. But yeah, so glad Alisson's back. It's always handy.
See, and now
but
I think so. What I was going to say to Rob is, I think our team has been picking itself recently. Antonio's obviously injured, and I think, even if he could make this weekend's game, if it was down to me, I wouldn't play him because I don't think it's worth the risk. But we're usually a counter-attacking team. We defend quite well. We've got the 3 at the back and the 2 wing backs. We get back quite quickly. We defend quite well, but we are very much about hitting on the counter. With Antonio out, and like you've already said, you expect Haller to start. How do you see us lining up, and how do you see us playing on Saturday?
I think is this the Legion, by the way?
It is, yes.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think we'll just literally do straight swap for Haller. But as I've said in so many times before, and you see when we take off like Antonio and Bowen, and we stick on Yarmolenko and Haller up front, the team just slows down so much that the attack threat just looks diminished, basically. And against a team like Liverpool, who everyone's quite fast, really, especially their wing backs as well, you kind of need that pace to play against them. So I personally think we'll play with like Haller, and I'll play. I think we might even take off Fornells maybe as well, but said on and use the pace of the wingers and try and get the cross into Haller and put him right. If I was me, I'd put him straight on the young defender, 6'4" bloke against a defender, and I'll say, look, bully the shit out of him. Try and win. If you don't win the header, just make sure he knows that you tried to get that header and put him off his game. That's what I try and do.
So you wouldn't be tempted tempted like it's your decision, but you wouldn't be tempted to say like Bowen in the middle, and then put like Benrahma and Fornells supporting, like just for the speed.
I'd be tempted to play a false 9 as well, and play maybe even play like the 2 wingers, but coming into the middle and having Fornells as the centre of the cam position. I'd be tempted to do that as well, and let Fornells play them through balls to Saïd and Bowen, and let them do the runs as well. So that would be another tempting thing. But then if you did that, there'd be an outcry. I think. But
I think that's the smarter way to play it. If I'm honest,
I
would save that because after Liverpool we've got Fulham, so I think you totally switch it up for Fulham and take a risk. This is a risk from a West Ham perspective because you should never be too confident, but take a risk and go 4-4-2, and then you can have Haller on there with maybe Bowen playing alongside him. And then you can like drop one of the centre backs and put someone else into midfield. I'd be tempted to do that and give Haller his chance then. And plus, against a team that's struggling, it might give him more confidence to play against them. But I'd just be so much against dropping the pace against them. It's the only enemy. It's the only weapon we've got against this.
Well, you know how I feel about the pace up front for us. We've had for years and years. We've had no pace up front really, apart from a few players. And this season, we're having like Antonio and then having Bowen just keep running. And it's not just up front though, is it? Because
you've got like Masuaku and Kufal now bombing it down the wings. Oh no, our connection is frozen.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm gonna stop trying to make the point that our wing backs are fast.
It's something to do with your wing back.
It's something I wanted to ask you guys, actually. I've always liked the look of Lanzini, and he's never seemed to be. I bet
you have, young man. We had some technical, we've had some technical difficulties, and we've had to reconnect. So the last thing I heard was Joe saying that you liked the look of Lanzini. And then I tried to cheekily go, and it all cut out. So that's a comedy.
It was too X-rated what you said next, and it cut out. The government cut it out. It was like,
no. Sorry. So Lanzini, yes.
There was a bad injury.
Basically, yeah. What happened is he got injured. He was on international duty of Argentina, and he got injured, and he done his crucial ligament in his. No, he didn't. He done the ligament in his knee, didn't he, Jim? And he come back, he's lost a yard of pace. He's lost it. And where he used to be able to do that little sidestep and run off. He can't do that no more, and his shot power's gone down a little bit as well. Well, he didn't like against Tottenham, if I'm honest.
Well, yeah,
but
tell that to the third goal against Spurs.
He hasn't played much though, and so we don't really know what he's like anymore. But he definitely has lost something that he had because he was small. He had that low centre of gravity, and he could beat a person, but he doesn't look like he can do that much anymore. I think he's still a good player, but I think the Premier League might be just too physical for him now with the injury that he had.
Yeah, it's a shame really because he looked really good, and then so when I've not seen him getting into the team anymore and all that sort of stuff, it's kind of a bit like what's going on with him sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, kind of explains it.
I think Lanzini would have been a better player in a better side. I think if he'd have went to the top 4 side, he wasn't injured.
This lot wanted him, right?
Yeah, Liverpool wanted him. Yeah. And I think if he'd gone to Liverpool for his injury, the problem was he was kind of injury prone before that as well, little niggly injuries here and there. I think he'd have been a much better player. I honestly do. I think staying at West Ham kind of held him back, and now the injuries kind of really held him back. I think he'll leave next season. I think he'll go China or he'll go back to Argentina, and I think he'll rip it up where he goes. But I don't think he'll be at West Ham.
He was in
I love him.
The United Arab Emirates, wasn't he? Like, he was in the Middle East somewhere before he came to us, and I think that's why we got him on such a good deal because no one had heard of him, and they were like, "Oh, he's playing out there."
6 million.
It was 9, I think, in the end.
Well, that's still nothing, isn't it, for someone like him? When we first got him, I actually thought he was going to be one player we could never hold on to. At first, I thought he'd be a player that could be going for 60 million, and he's still here. He can't even get in the team. I thought I was quite disappointed with Jim the last game we played, is that he didn't get on as a substitute. I was kind of hoping that he would the last game, just for the last 10 minutes, but
yeah,
he didn't. And it says something, doesn't it? You see that you can tell that Moyes is the manager and he does pick what he wants to pick.
Well, so but on that though, when Moyes came back, he picked Lanzini a lot, didn't he, over Fornals, even though Fornals had been playing well. So he obviously believed in Lanzini's ability, but I guess it's just not worked out on the pitch.
Maybe it was too soon, and maybe we might see a bit more from him. I'm hoping so, because like Joe says, he was a good player. Like, he really was. He excited me a lot, and he scored some spectacular goals, and he loves scoring goals against big sides. And I think his first goal for West Ham was against Liverpool as well. When we beat you, was it 2-3? I can't remember. Long time ago, though.
That's when I was like, "Who is this person?"
so sticking with dangerous players, Joe, who do you see as being the main threat from a West Ham perspective this weekend? Obviously, we think that Antonio is probably not going to play, or do you not see any threats given that Antonio is not going to play?
Well, I think we've talked about it already, but Rice and Souček in the middle, I think if you let them run the show, you're going to struggle. Souček is just massive. Like he's like really kind of like, people have been like comparing him to like Fellaini and blah, 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 but he is not that sort of player. He's like mobile, really drives the play and like gives a bit of a focal point. He's not scared to like give me the ball, I'll play it out. Like, he's kind of like, I really like him. I think he's an exciting player, really. Like, I think he's really good. And then Rice as well. Like, I just think he's good at like mopping stuff up and moving it forward, sort of thing. Like, he's not, those sorts of players sometimes get criticised for only doing sideways passes. I don't. He's not. Again,
by idiots who don't understand football.
He's not that sort of player. So I think the midfield for me is where the battle's going to kind of be won in this game. And I'm concerned about Benrahma. I think if he plays, I think he's going to have a stormer. And I've just got this weird premonition about it. Like, I'm I'm really concerned about it.
Let me just put a bet on that.
But I just nervous about him playing just because he's a new entity. People aren't really gonna know, and I just think people aren't gonna have him sussed. So I think
he could be one of those players that on his debut in the Premier League wants to make an impact and just absolutely smashes it. Some players just do, don't they? They come in with the immediate kind of drive to prove to everyone that they are worthy of that step up.
They
just come in and absolutely. Do you think he's in the team, Jim?
I don't know, because Moyes has been saying that he's not going to put him in until he's ready. But what does that mean?
I've heard he might even be in this weekend. So there's a big possibility that might happen.
Who knows, mate? Who knows? So Rob, same question, or is it easier to say who's not going to be dangerous for Liverpool?
I think the one we have to watch out for is is it Main up front on the left?
What's his name?
Oh, yeah, that individual. I think he's just becoming such a
Mane.
class player. I think he's becoming such a good player.
Yeah, he's our best player. Like, if one of Salah or Mane had to leave or get sold, I would, Salah can leave. Like, we need to keep Mane. Mane is by far the better, more consistent player.
He's got everything. He can play up front. He can play on the wing. He's fast. He's skillful. His positioning is actually frighteningly good. I think that's something that's really unlooked by him. His positioning as well, and his link-up play to get that ball into the box is quite scary. And he's one player that frightens me for West Ham because even though we've got we've got the right back and we've got Bowen that helps and cover up. Bowen also counter attacks. So if he goes to the counter attack, that bloke's going to be left alone on his own, and that's where he's going to thrive again. Because he's definitely got more pace than our right back, 100%. And I'm saying right back because I can't remember his name.
Tufal.
Yeah. But like I said, Jim, before, I think we'll play hello, and I think we'll try and get that cross into the box and bully the defender, and I think that's what we're trying to do. And I think it's just what Moyes is going to try and do. I think he's going to try and play kind of like we're going to soak up the pressure, play in a counter attack, get that early ball in, and hopefully, Heller's not too lazy to actually get in the box and actually put his head on it.
Well, look, maybe this will prove whether or not Moyes really does have a plan B up his sleeve.
Absolutely, and this is something I criticise about as well. A number of times.
I mean, it'd be great if he had a plan B up his sleeve for this game, and then a C up his other sleeve for the Fulham game. Because I think we should change it up for Fulham and Sheffield.
I don't think he's that good at the alphabet, Jim.
Okay, so we've got our expectations in terms of who's going to be dangerous, how we expect to be set up. So I guess all that's left is final scores and goal scorers. So Rob, I'll let you go first on this one.
2-2. Score draw.
2-2.
Yeah, I'm going to go to 2-2. I just think we'll really read there's all pressure, and I think the goals will be a brace from Bowen.
Joe, what's your prediction?
I think Liverpool win. Klopp's really been trying to rest the front players. He did that substitution the other week.
What did you get up to then? Did you see?
I got as far as Joe starting to talk about players. So he's like, I think we're going to win. And then it basically cut out.
He basically said West Ham going to win 3-something, and then he ended it.
What?
Hang on. We've got to pick this up properly because otherwise anyone listening to this is going to go, this is shit. So I'm going to have to. There's going to be so many edits on this. It's ridiculous. I'm actually going to have to watch the whole video through tonight just to edit it together.
Is it going to be like a cassette boy video?
It might be easier to do that. So sorry, Joe. You said no. Don't you fucking dare.
What?
You didn't say that.
What?
My computer was just about to restart.
No.
And I would have lost the entire recording. Well, since the redial. Anyway, sorry, Joe. You were saying that you think Liverpool are going to win, but then I heard nothing in terms of how and why. So I
started crying.
So I'm going to go for like a 3-1, 3-2 win. I just think that Klopp has been using players sparingly. The other week he subbed off all the front line at 60 minutes. I think he's trying to keep all the front players especially fresh. So, I think there's going to be goals in us, but I'm just very worried about our centre-back situation, especially, as you say, Rob, if West Ham play Haller. Gomez isn't as good in the air as some of our other centre-backs, and especially with one of the reserve and youth defenders coming in. I think that is the area where Liverpool might struggle. So I think we might ship a few as well. But I'm still expecting a Liverpool win.
If Haller wants to, put that shift in. And that's the problem sometimes is which one of him is going to turn up. Because if he does turn up and he does want to play, he can make it very difficult. But the problem is he doesn't do it. Or I've not seen it yet. Even on the weekend when we were drawing 1-1 Man City and he come on, he just didn't make no runs. There was a chances for him to kind of make a run off the ball. He just didn't do it. It was so static. He made. I thought for the last 20 minutes of that game, he just made it much harder for us. It's like we had a player sent off.
Especially when you're coming on as well, just go hell for leather for those 20 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what Minamino does at Liverpool. Like, sometimes it's a bit like headless chicken moment, but I think he's just trying to, like, I've got 10, 15, 20 minutes on the pitch. I'm just going to, like, go for every ball sort of thing. But
so maybe for Haller, though, playing, if he does start, maybe it gives him time to, I don't know, warm into the game, find his feet again in a team that he's not found himself playing in very often. Maybe that's part of what it is. He's not got as much game time. I don't know. I'm trying to be positive here.
He has got the technical ability, hasn't he, Jim? He can do it over a kick.
I think so.
He's very classy and very skillful. But the problem is, he doesn't get that that precise delivery. He can't make something from nothing. He's not one of them kind of players that can. He's not an Arnautovic who will take two players on and then hit it bottom corner, because he hasn't got the ability to do it. He can't beat a man like that. But then if we put a cross to his head, perfectly to his head or to his foot, he can score a goal. So it all depends on our wing backs and our centre back Creswell putting that kind of ball in for him. And I think that's what we're trying to do. I think
it's going to be
deep runs as well.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it's going to be. A lot of whipping the balls in, a lot of dead ball situations, and that's how we're going to try and play it.
I think it is. I think that's the way you have to play against Liverpool. I think you have to be down and dirty. You have to do a bolt against them. You put the big men in, you fucking throw yourself at it. Hope for the best.
Well, we'll have Kevin Nolan on the sidelines dictating some of the tactics, so you never know. We could get a bit of a bolt on them.
Yeah, it might not be pretty, and Liverpool might think, "Oh, this is awful to watch." But if it gets us a point, or if it gets us a win, or if we play half decent, and Liverpool come off the pitch and they think we had a battle here, and that's what you want from a team, don't you? At the end of the day,
It's funny you mentioned Bolton as well, actually, because I had a bit of a fact about Nathaniel Phillips. He's actually Jimmy Phillips' son. So there's like,
really?
Yeah. Because I was looking up on him and I was like, oh, let's find some stuff out about him. And it's like, oh, son of Bolton player Jimmy Phillips.
I love the fact that you've done some research for this, whereas me and Rob just come on and chat.
The thing is, though, where kind of young players barely ever done really anymore, and they're all from West Ham, all of them. So apart from the Scottish lad, I really looked at Ashby. He does quite good, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. When he came on in that cup game, and he had a shot, didn't he? A really good shot on target, and then he went and dislocated his finger.
Yeah, he looks very athletic. He reminds me a bit like Bowell the way he runs. He can get up the pitch like you look up and he's just gone. He's going to be a good right back, I think. And he played for the Scotland under-21 team. They really, really rated him. They said, God, this player, I heard it, he might even be getting put into the first team, the Scotland team. Not even the first team or the West Ham team yet. But...
Well, that's one for the future, hopefully, then. Or one that we'll end up selling off for a stupid amount.
The Bournemouth.
Anyway, that's us wrapped up, I think. So... thanks very much, Joe, for joining us and putting up with the dodgy Wi-Fi connection.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Rob, as always. And I think I should probably give a shout out to Liverpool's LGBT fan group Cop Outs. If anyone wants to check them out, they're similar to Pride of Irons. Obviously not as good, but they're similar. So yeah, check those guys out. Only kidding. People from Cop Outs. I'm sure you're just as good as we are. So catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe, and come on your irons.
Wait.
See you now.